Africa is largely misunderstood by many people around the world. Many believe the people of Africa to be primitive, uneducated, and overflowing with poverty. In order to overcome these misconceptions, it is important for everyone to study Africa. The true history of Africa is that it is the birthplace of mankind. If the people of today had not been exposed to stereotypes and hidden information, they would most likely agree that life did in fact originate in Africa. With the modern technology we now possess and the evidence that's recently surfaced, it is easy to see through these lies. For example, a specimen named Lucy came out of the region in Ethiopia and was carbon dated back to a period 3.5 million years ago. Now, Lucy was not of the same species as us, but most scientists believe in the idea of evolution, and this species has a direct lineage to that of Homo sapien. With techniques that utilize DNA spacing between African populations, it is determined that Homo sapiens arose out of Africa anywhere from 100,000 to 400,000 years ago.
Influence in politics starts with ancient Egypt. The state's roots can be traced back to around 5000 BC, thousands of years before ancient Greece was even established. Egypt contributed to and influenced European philosophy, math, religion, and politics. Greece and Roman gods have connections to the Egyptians, and their political structures were influenced by Egypt as well. Democracy is understood to be a Western phenomenon, but East Africa was one of the first areas to develop a modern democracy. Before the United States was even formed, the Ormos people had developed the Gada Republican system of government that was about as complex as today's form. They had 3 levels: the national, the regional, and the local. They even had a Congress, much like the U.S.
There are many factors that goes into why studying Africa. Education is one of the factors. Education originated and started in Africa. Hieroglyphics, pictorial representations into a form of writing were used to predict annual floods and seasons, but indeed it started science and astronomy. While studying the patterns of floods and seasons, Egyptians were able to study the stars and its configurations. While doing so, astronomy was created and it helped form the 12-month calendar of 365 days, which is vital for everyone in modern day. Science and astronomy are not the only things that derive from Egypt. The basic principles of mathematics, as well as the Pythagorean theorem and the Pythagorean mathematics, derived from Egypt. With the use of the Pythagorean theorem, Egyptians were able to construct many constructions, such as a few pyramids, buildings, and a sphinx. As many structures were built, people came together and formed a common language similar to English with many complex words and meanings. In addition to the origination of education, other studies such as anthropology and agriculture has much origination within Africa. Africa is the taproot for anthropology, and African farmers were the first to start agriculture and farming.
Music is an important part of African culture that has spread to the rest of the world. Ancient Egyptians developed the first traditional African instruments. These early instruments serve as a blueprint for modern instruments, to which wouldn't exist without the ancient Egyptians. The Egyptians discovered the science of sound, or acoustics, and built the diatonic scale of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, that is still used to teach modern music. The earliest humans began painting animals and humans in rock caves. Africans also developed sculptures. They also used masks and paint for dances or rituals in traditional African culture. The use of art to express feeling or emotion artistically comes from these early depictions of art. The religion of the areas, such as Islam or Christianity, often influenced the works of art. Ancient Egypt believed in polytheism and worshipped many gods. Other important religions are Islam and Christianity. Islam is monotheistic, and they pray to different prophets who communicate with Allah. The appearance of Islam is most likely through international trade with India, China, and Asia. Missionaries from Europe and America traveled to Africa in hopes of converting tribes to Christianity. Knowing these things about Africa changes our perceptions about the world we live in. Their contributions impact our everyday lives.